You've always been told to never dwell on negative thoughts, but what if I told you that there was a way to use them to your advantage that you've never been taught before? Let's dive into how negative thinking can give you positive motion toward your goals and the proper techniques on how to make those thoughts work for you and not against you. Here's Novak Djokovic, the greatest tennis player of all time and my favorite athlete of all time, on why you shouldn't try to immediately shoot down negative thoughts when they come, but instead try to embrace them in a way.
I don't like this kind of a mindset that I see a lot in sports, like just think positive thoughts, be optimistic. There is no room for failure. There is no room for, doubts and stuff like this. It's impossible to do that. You are a human being. The difference, I guess, between the guys who are able to be biggest champions and the ones that are struggling to get to the highest level is the ability to not stay in those emotions for too long.
Now, in no way is he or I in this video advocating for the permanent dwelling on negative thoughts, but instead showing that they can be used to your advantage if you move from them to the present moment, because a lot of times negative thinking is about, what I didn't do, or what I lacked the ability to do, or what I didn't take advantage of. Use that to move from a place of, woe is me in the past to, now here I am in the present. How can I fix that here? They're totally fine to think about. They're totally fine to not dwell on, but experience. Again, you shouldn't try to shoot them down. There's a culture that says you should only think positivity. You should only think the rainbow, sunshine, and roses type of thoughts and never encounter any sort of negative thoughts. Otherwise, that means you're losing your way. No, it's fine because, as Novak said, we're human and we're all going to experience that. But again, what separates the good from the great and the great from the elite is how quickly they're able to move from those negative thoughts, which again are usually based on past circumstances, to the present.
So for me, it's really relatively short. So as soon as I experience it, I acknowledge it. I maybe, burst, I scream on the court, whatever happens, but then I'm able to bounce back and reset.
How you can use those negative thoughts to launch from the past to the present is say, okay, what did I do wrong and what am I going to do about it? Where is this negative thought that I have here a resemblance of a present situation that I'm in? And if the two are similar, if what I'm thinking about that was a negative experience for me in the past is something that I'm similarly going through now, let me draw from this. Let me see, okay, I didn't do this specific thing right the first time. Now here I am the second time. Let me look at what I did wrong. Let me look at the other options or angles that I had available, and let me not make that same mistake twice. So again, we're all human. We're all going to experience negative thoughts, and it's not wrong to dwell on them. It's about how quickly you move on to the present. I do want to approach this issue of negative thinking from a unique perspective though, and it's that you should use negative thoughts in your goal setting. Now, be very careful when you talk about goal setting. I have a video on that you can click in the cards or check out in the description on why habit systems are much better than results-oriented goals. But when you do set goals, whether they're habit systems or results-oriented goals, you should always come from the perspective of, I don't want to end up here. That's the negative thinking that can actually be so much of a positive for you in the future. For example, for me, one of the reasons why I wanted to graduate, in addition to completing a highest honors high school tenure or, walking across that stage, is the opposite. I had a goal set out that I wanted to accomplish being highest honors and being one of the few who are at the top of the class. And the negative of that I dwelled on was that I don't want to fail myself and I don't want to prove myself wrong after years of build up towards this goal. Or I don't want to not walk across that stage and have to redo a class because of my negligence in studying. The easiest way to apply that to your own situation is just to flip whatever positive thinking you have into a negative stimuli. In fact, studies have shown that the brain responds to negative stimuli in a much stronger manner than it does to positive stimuli. So whatever you're thinking about a positive outcome, just flip it for perspective-wise only. You're still going to be able to achieve the positives of that, but it's the avoidance of the negative pitfall that you don't want to achieve that is going to trigger and trick your brain to say, oh my goodness, I really don't want this. Oh, I don't want 5 years to pass and I end up with the same bum physique. I'm going to start working on my physique more. Whatever it is, you have a positive outcome in mind, just flip that only for the psychological aspect of it, for the negative. You're gonna dwell on it only when you think about that goal. It's not something that you just think about, oh, I'm constantly running from the idea that I'm not gonna be the person I wanna be in 5 years. Although that may be helpful, again, dwelling on it way too much and incessantly dwelling on negative things like that is just not gonna be good for you overall. But again, when you're setting goals, when you're setting up systems to achieve your goals, when you have a positive thought or when you have a positive outcome in mind, just flip it to the negative outcome that you don't want. Anything that we don't want, we tend to, oddly enough, run from what we don't want more than we run towards what we do want. So just try that in your habit systems, just try that in your goal setting, and even after a few weeks or a month of progress toward that goal, see how training your brain to react to negative stimuli when you think about your goals or where you want to be forces you towards that goal way stronger than training your brain to think about positive stimuli does. And let me know in the comments if that's something you've experienced before. So now I'm going to give you three things to help you keep negative thoughts in mind and use them in a positive way to positively fuel you towards your goals. The first one is that you should fail forward. I know this may sound conflicting with the advice I have just given in this whole video about use what you don't want into a fuel as what you do want. And in that case, it's like, but aren't you trying to avoid failure? On a large scale, yes. So it's important to differentiate between short-term failure and long-term failure. And I consider long-term failure to be completely missing out on the lifestyle you desire as a whole. And I'm talking about maybe if you're a young person like me, when you're 25 and 30 and 35 and 40, you're still stuck in a rat race and a cycle of just despair, loads of debt, and all those things. I consider that long-term failure. But short-term failure, these are in the weeks, months, and very few years ahead that you have right now, right in front of you, when you have a lot of resources at your disposal that you should embrace failure. So fail forward, meaning that try different avenues of things. As I said in the information overload and analysis paralysis video, which is on my channel, which you should check out after this video is done, failure in small aspects is very, very good. It means you've just tried one avenue of something and noted that it didn't work. But I talked about a Mark Cuban quote where he's talked about how you only need one yes. Well, here's Mark Cuban saying it himself about how you only need that one yes.
Even if 99% of them fail, you only have to be right one time. You don't have to figure it all out in advance. You can be wrong, you could pick the wrong career, you can pick the wrong job, you can pick the wrong whatever. But you get it right one time, you're set. But if you don't try, and if you don't go out there and try all those different things, you'll never get that one time.
The second thing I want you to keep in mind is that fear feeds focus. Let your fear feed your focus. And I want this fear to be a long-term fear, as I just talked about how you should embrace short-term negatives. I want you to think about the long-term negative of not making it that you should not embrace and that you should run from the long-term negative of what if I don't make it. The positive thing that I want you to embrace and change into a negative is proving people who value you, who love you, and believe in you right. I think a lot of times people think about, if you have doubters, prove those people wrong and get back at them and flex at them later on. And that's good, but I also think that there are a lot of people in this world who do have support behind them. I'm one of them, and I'm blessed to have continue growing up in a family that is very supportive of me, and have people in my life who are very close to me that are supportive of me. Now, when you flip that on its head, now you think about, what if I prove those people wrong? What if instead of living up to my potential like they always believed in me and prayed for me and dreamed for me, what if I don't? What if I end up serving them McDonald's one day, and instead of teaching them how to live the life of their dreams as I have, what if they just walk into a random restaurant and I'm the server at that random restaurant and they're like, what happened to you? That's a scenario you could use if you want, but similar along those lines. So again, I think there's a lot of talk about proving people wrong in the sense that get back at them and prove them wrong, the doubters who doubted you and believed in you. I think you should be fearful of proving people wrong in that when people believe in you, live up to that. Embrace that and say, okay, I want to do good by them because they believed in me and they've prayed for me all these years and they know what I have and they know me best. And the people who know me best believe in me this much, I can't let them down. That's a disservice to them. So let your fear feed your focus and be soul-minded, be solo-minded on the thing that you want the most in the long term, and that's going to help you. The third thing you should do is flip frustration to fortitude. Let those moments of frustration and when you're angry at yourself for not doing as well as you should have, those are negatives that you can pull from a past situation now here in the present. As I talked about how the greats, they don't dwell on the negatives for too long. They acknowledge that the negatives are there, but what separates them from the rest is that they take those and use them positively in the present. That's the same thing you can do. Those frustrations that you've had in the past, those are good ultimately because you've experienced one side of something. Now when you're experiencing that thing again, you have the cachet of, okay, I was frustrated last time. I'm frustrated with the way this went the previous time I did it. Now let me pull up in my brain how to do it the correct time this time. Because last time I tried to go at it through this angle, it didn't go well. The last time I tried to do this venture, it didn't work because I didn't cover all my bases. The last time I tried to hire this person or this type of person for this type of role, it didn't do well. I was frustrated about that. But flip your frustration into fortitude. That becomes your strength because now you know, hey, I already failed kind of miserably or kind of embarrassingly or just below my standard last time the last time I did this. It can't go any worse. The worst thing to do is just start, right? The worst part of achieving greatness is getting off the mat, getting off the ground or the couch or the bed and starting. That's the hardest it's ever going to be. And even though, we don't like that starting period because it's hard, because we don't have a lot of resources available to us, at least once we start something, we do one phase of something, we have that phase forever to look back on. And that's our strength. And as we go through multiple phases of something, maybe we go through phase 2 of trying to build something. Even as I go through multiple phases of trying to learn all the different things I'm learning, I have previous phases that are now my fortitude, because even though I was frustrated in those initial phases, I turned them into my strength because I knew that I couldn't do worse than last time because at least I had the experience. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't get mentors. You should absolutely get people, not just in your life personally, but in your life through the internet, through watching them, to teach you how to not make the same grave pitfalls that they made. But also, experience is one of the best teachers, and sometimes you just have to do things yourself. So always make sure to flip your frustrations to fortitude. Comment below how you've used negative thinking to your advantage in your own life before, or which of these tips on negative thinking in this video you're going to apply in your life today. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to share this video with someone whom you think it may help as well. And follow me on Instagram at my name. And I'll see you in the next video.